Alright, so let's break down the first round of the 2023 NHL draft. Now, this definitely wasn't the most interesting draft in terms of trades, as there wasn't a single trade during the draft involving an early first round pick, but despite that, there were some questionable picks in the first round that we're gonna get into. If you like draft and trade content like this, if you'd consider hitting the subscribe button, hitting the bell beside, and hitting the like button down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And with the first overall pick, there was absolutely zero surprise, as Bedard, the next generational talent in the NHL, went first overall. And in order to keep this video short, I won't talk too much about each player, but I'll just briefly mention some things about them, as I think I've talked enough about Bedard already in my previous video, so feel free to check that one out. And a bit of a surprise at second overall, with the Ducks taking Leo Carlsson from the SHL over Adam Fantilli, as Fantilli is projected to be the better center and was a consensus second overall pick. So definitely an interesting pick from Pat Verbeek here. And with Columbus picking third overall, they couldn't get up to the draft podium fast enough, as they couldn't believe that Fantilli fell to them at third overall, and they quickly scooped him up. I saw some people saying that Columbus won this draft by doing absolutely nothing tonight. That's quite possible. And also a wholesome moment to see, as Fantilli's dad was quite emotional about this, as he was crying pretty heavily as his son was getting drafted. Just a feel-good moment there. At fourth, Mike Guerriere and the Sharks took Will Smith. Nope, not that Will Smith, as the American center round out the top four. At fifth overall, the Canadians took the first defenseman of the draft, David Reinbacher, and a pretty good gaffe on the stage, as Carey Price completely forgets his last name, and GM Kent Hughes has to step in to make the pick.
Bonsoir. Le Canadien de Montréal are proud to select David We planned it that way. David Reinbacher.
At 6 overall, the Coyotes have the first reach of the draft, as they take Russian defenseman Simashev 6th overall. Definitely a surprise there. And moving on to the pick we were all waiting for. At 7th overall, Matvei Michkov's name finally gets called by the Philadelphia Flyers. There's a part of me that's actually quite sad about this, as I'll never get to see Michkov play with Ovechkin, as it was reported that the Capitals were desperately attempting to trade up in the first round to nab Michkov, to no avail. It was interesting to see his interview, as he had to have a translator present there, as he's obviously not fluent in English yet, being a Russian-born player. With Michkov taken, the Capitals had to settle for the next best player available at 8th overall, which was Ryan Leonard, an American-born winger who looks to have pretty good upside. There was also a line mate with Will Smith, who was taken 4th overall, and Perreault, who was taken 23rd overall by the Rangers. With Detroit's pick at 9th overall, Yzerman once again reaches slightly for center Nate Danielson. And at 10th overall, the Blues nab Slovakian center Dalibor Dvorsky, making that 6 centers picked in the top 10 of this draft. And at 11th overall, the Canucks select the third defenseman taken in this draft, the Swedish Tom Willander. With the Coyotes' second first-round pick of this draft, at 12th overall, acquired in the Jacob Chychrun trade, they reach once again for the Russian winger Daniel Butt. Definitely an interesting time to be a Coyotes fan, as they reach on both of their first round picks. At 13th, the Sabres had forward Zach Bentz absolutely fall right into their lap. He's projected to go a bit higher. And at 14th, the Penguins selected two-way forward Brandon Yeager. And right after that, the Predators selected Canadian right winger Matthew Wood, 15th overall. And now, I'll be reviewing the Flames 16th overall pick, as this is the one I'll be giving the most feedback on, as a depressed Flames fan. So at 16th overall, the Flames pick Samuel Honzik, a Slovakian winger playing for the Vancouver Giants of the WHL. As an 18-year-old rookie in the WHL, he did put up 56 points in just 43 games. And unfortunately, he was injured during the World Junior Championship, so we weren't able to see him play there. Now, I don't hate the draft pick, as he is a big-bodied player listed at 6'3", 6'4", and looks to have some offensive upside, but what the Flames really needed from this draft was defensive prospects, as we haven't taken a defenseman in the first round since 2017 in Yusuf Al-Maki, who we recently put on waivers. Just an example of the Flames' great asset management recently. But besides that, our last 3 first round picks were all used on good forward prospects in Zari, Pelche, and Coronado, and I would have really liked to see Conroy select a defenseman in this draft, specifically the Swedish defenseman Axel Sandin Pelika, who was taken with the literal next pick by Detroit, and if Yzerman isn't reaching for a pick, you know, the player must have really fallen right into his lap at that point. But yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to end the video there. Leave your feedback down below in the comments. Did you like the picks that your team made today? Were they good, bad, somewhere in between? Feel free to let me know if you want me to cover the second half of the first round of the 2023 NHL draft. Feel free to sub to the channel, like the video on the way out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.